Mir from Microsoft is going to give us a presentation, and the topic of his presentation is testing solutions for the SDLC with Microsoft and insight into testing capabilities with the Microsoft platform. Microsoft for about 9 years developing developing tools in the technical capacity, in the development testing tools at Microsoft, IBM, Telelogic, also covering aspects of application lifecycle management. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause for Mir.
My name is Mir Hidayatullah, and I work as a technology solutions professional in the Microsoft Developer Tools organization. And today what I'm going to talk about is the testing solutions that Microsoft has for the entire SDLC. Actually, it extends a little beyond the SDLC also, but let's have a look at that. So this is how we look at the SDLC life cycle, starting with capturing the requirements, creating a backlog. If you're working in Agile, then we have Agile methodologies. A lot of our customers are moving to Agile, have started adopting Agile. We ourselves in our own internal the developer division have adopted Agile in a very big way. And all our development and testing is using Agile methodologies. So we start with capturing the requirements, the backlogs, doing the sprints, planning the iterations, and assigning the requirements per iteration. Then we move to the development stage, followed by the testing stage, monitoring stage as we call it, followed by the actual deployment itself. Now, what I want to talk about here in this slide is where exactly is testing coming into the picture, and more specifically, the what capabilities do we have in testing which fit into this life cycle. Now, since this is really a testing event, I'm not going to go into much depth into the development life cycle, but what I do want to stress is, and the reason I'm stressing this is because sometime back, a few months back, one of our largest customers, they gave us a feedback saying that the Microsoft testing capabilities are one of the best kept secrets of Microsoft. So in the sense that we have a huge customer base of people using Visual Studio, using TFS, but a lot of them are not using it, or rather not continuing the usage of Visual Studio for their testing also. The capabilities are there in the tool, they might not even be aware of it. So, which is what we are trying to address in forums like this also. So, I think that's in the next slide. Okay, before I go through the walkthrough, so here we have continuous acceptance testing. We have continuous integrations. We've incorporated both CI and CD into this development lifecycle with TFS. So we have monitoring of the builds at all these stages, and we've gone beyond just the design and development into the production also. So when we get into production also, you can actually monitor what's happening in your production servers. You can monitor the performance, you can monitor a lot of things, which I'll get into in details. Actually, let me get into the solution itself. Okay. Now, let's first start at, this is not strictly speaking the classical or pure testing that I'm going to talk about right now. Before we get into the formal testing, let's look at the development stage itself. What we have seen, we had this capability way back in Visual Studio 2010, but it was not a formal release or a formal part of the Visual Studio 2010. This was developed as a R&D project by Microsoft. Some of you might have used it also. It was very popular, called PEX. It gave you the ability to automatically generate unit tests from your code. Now we've actually made this a formal part of the Visual Studio 2015 release. What you can do is literally right-click on a class or a method and say generate unit tests, and the tool actually generates unit tests. Now, you're actually seeing a screen snapshot from the tool. So it generates the tests, it actually executes the tests also. You see the test results, you see which which test passed, what failed, what was the coverage, the number of blocks that were covered, and the number of runs it had to do. Now, if it executes and if your coverage is not increasing, then it stops. So there's a little bit of intelligence built into it also. Now the code, okay, this is what I was trying to explain. It shows you what if the test is failing, it shows you where it failed, what was the exception. You can actually control the inputs also. And what you can also do is it generates the tests for you. The tests are available. You can then, and will be saved. So you can use them for regression testing also. You can also make modifications to those test cases that it has generated, save them, create your own more test cases, save the project, etc. Now, this is something that has really caught on with customers and was something that they really wanted. Okay, what we've also done with Visual Studio 2015 is brought out something new called diagnostic tools. Now, what happens is as your application is running, as you're running the debugger rather, what you will also get parallelly is the diagnostic tools with a timeline. You don't see the timeline here, but you can have a timeline. And you can observe the lot of things. You can observe the memory utilization, the CPU utilization. You can also monitor events that are occurring. It's not in the snapshot, but as the timeline progresses, you'll see black dots coming up in the timeline denoting events that are occurring in the application. And the event list is also available here. You can pause the debugger at any time. You can study the events that it is showing. You can actually zoom into the timeline and step through the events one by one also. Yeah, that's the timeline tool we're talking about. Now, what we've also done is this unit test, automated unit test creation that I just spoke about. When those unit tests are actually executing, the diagnostic tool also comes up in parallel. And as the unit tests execute, you will see what's happening in this diagnostic tool also. Now, this is something that developers would tend to do during the development phase. Now, as we move into the more formal testing phase, there is a complete testing solution available with Visual Studio also, called it's web-based as well as it has its own GUI. We call it the Microsoft Test Manager. Now, what you can do in that is create your test plans, create your test cases. You can actually execute them from here, capture the test results, save the test results, generate a test report also. Now, what kind of testing can you do? Let's look at the simpler forms first, the manual testing. So what you're seeing here is an actual test plan with a test case and the steps of the test case also. Then you can actually execute the test case and you will, it worked fine when I tested it. I don't know why you have a problem. It works fine in my pre-production or staging environment here in the office. I don't know why it's not working in your production environment. So, sorry about that. So what you can do is capture the screen snapshots, capture a full video itself. There is a debug log also of the trace. You can capture all that and include it in the bug that you are going to file in TFS or whatever ALM system that you use. Okay. Now, we also have this as a web-based feature. So if you are, you can use this from the software GUI which comes up, or you can use this through the web interface also. Yeah. Then moving on, what we also have is a static code analysis, a code review tool which is built into Visual Studio, which gives you a code coverage analysis, of course. It analyzes code metrics for you and gives you information about the quality of the code, maintainability of the code. There are various formulas built into the code review tool. Those formulas are executed on the code and you get the code metrics. So you will get an idea of where the code is very complex, where the maintainability might be an issue, etc. It also does a code clone analysis to identify where the segments of code which are getting repeated often also. So then you'll know that there is similar code which should rather be called in a function or a method or whatever. Then this is interesting. Now, what we looked at so far is manual testing and static code analysis. We also have automated testing built into Visual Studio. There's a very nice capability called exploratory testing, where, let me take that example again of the e-commerce website that we just saw. What this feature allows you to do is just do something, even at random, open up the website, start this exploratory testing. Maybe let's do something simple, like logging into the website and maybe purchasing an item. So you actually execute those steps. Now, as those steps are executing, the tool is actually, this is the website, so we are executing this. The tool is actually capturing everything that you're doing. You can see step number 5, number 6. In this case, you've clicked on some link, again clicked on a link, along with a screen snapshot of what link you clicked on. Or maybe you entered some data. So it's capturing all that, and it is converting that into code and a test case. So whatever steps you executed, it is giving you the equivalent code of those steps also. And that you can use as a test. It's as a test case, or what we call the coded UI test. And you can then save these tests. You can make modifications to this code and modify the test case. You can actually, you're recording, you can record that. You can also record the actions, edit the UI map. You can add assertions also in the middle. Now, the advantage all this gives you is that you are, you're recording all these interactions, you're creating the test case, and then you can use these, you can run this later, or you can create a suite of regression test cases also with this. Now, for going further, you can also use these in these test cases when you want to do performance testing of your website or your web-based application, or if you want to do load testing of your website also. Now, what we've already done through that exploratory testing process is created the coded UI test cases. We've recorded the web tests. Then what we can do is actually do performance and load testing also on that. So what you're seeing here is a screen snapshot from Visual Studio, where you go to File, New, and New Project, and you can literally see the these 3 projects will come up as an option also when you go to testing. And you can have a coded UI test project, a unit test project, or a web performance and load testing project. Okay. Yeah, so this is again a snapshot of a performance test being performed on one of the, on a public website. So when we do the load testing, this is interesting. We have always had the capability of doing load testing, and you can define the test cases that you want to run. Obviously, it's not a single test case. When we are doing load testing, we are trying to measure the health of the website, see how much load can it really take. So what we do here is that we define the load. It could be a constant load, or it could be a step load, where we start with maybe 10 users and we go to 100 users, or maybe even 1,000 users. You can even define the duration of the test. You can also define the step load by what should be the gradient of increase of the number of users. So you define all that. And what the tool does is, in case you are, yeah, this is a snapshot from, okay, you can do, it generates the load and actually executes the test on the public website. Now, there are two ways of doing this. You can have your testing infrastructure to be on premises. Then you will have to configure the test controller, you'll have to define all the test agents, you'll have to do the networking, etc. I mean, the old-fashioned traditional way it was done before we had the cloud facility. I mean, people still do that, but I mean, I'm sure a lot of you would have experienced it. It can be a nightmare to get hold of that kind of hardware infrastructure. You might have to wait for a weekend, or and get the IT guys to provide you all the workstations that would or servers which would otherwise be used during the daytime by the development team. It's a struggle. And then you'll have to configure everything, set up everything, run the test cases, do the load testing. A simpler way that we have of doing it is by using the cloud. I'm sure most of you would be aware of Microsoft Azure, our own cloud service. So we offer different services on Microsoft Azure. Load testing is one of those services that we offer. So what we can do is, when we set up the load test, define what test cases are to be run and what is the load. Let's say we go from 10 users to 100 users in, let's say, 10 minutes, and we run the entire test for just 10 minutes, and we define what the test is. Then you can choose the cloud option, and what happens is, in the background, Azure will set up all the infrastructure in the background, the actual test agents, the test controllers. You can also even define the data center to be used, or the region rather. Okay, I thought I had a slide on it. Yeah, okay, here it is. Yeah, okay, there it is. That's the option. So you see the option selected is using the cloud service. The one just above it is using physical computers. So we select that option. We choose the URL of TFS. And then we start the load test. Now, as the test is running, so all the infrastructure is there on the cloud. It's set up, and its activation is all transparent to you, the user. It's been done by the Azure service. And the load test starts. Now, as the test is running, you will see the data getting plotted also. You will see the timeline. You will see the performance. You will see the I mean, it depends on what you're monitoring over here. You can see the CPU utilization, the memory utilization, etc. I thought we had some screen snapshots of it. No. Okay. We'll be showing a demo of this in the next session, which is in one of the tracks. So we'll actually demo this and show it to you also. But this is very interesting. You can get this load testing done through the Microsoft Azure services. Okay, so moving on, this is another very interesting capability we have in Visual Studio. We call it IntelliTrace. Now, this is interesting because now, while the debugging is going on, it will actually, or while your application is running also, it will capture a lot of data for you, whatever data you want. Events are captured, and that information is stored. And at any point during the debugging process, you can look into that, look at the events that are being captured. You can define what those events are because it can really get very voluminous. If it's a web app that you are developing and that you want to test, you can capture different, the most commonly captured events would be buttons that are clicked, links that are clicked, if there is any access happening to the database, if there are any inputs that are being given by the user, anything that's happening, if there are certain libraries that are getting called, if the .NET stack is getting accessed, what APIs are getting access. So you can choose what those events are that you want captured, and as your application is either executing or getting debugged, all of those events are getting captured. So I think here you see some of the events that are getting listed out. There are some exceptions here at the bottom also that it is capturing. There is the .NET stack which is getting accessed over here also, which it is capturing and telling you what APIs are getting called. Okay, so yeah, so now what you can do is you can even inject traces in your code if there's some particular code that you want to monitor more carefully, and then you can actually create code maps also. So a code map is higher level view of the code. It's not at a view of code line by line. It's a view of code at an architecture level with the relationships between the different methods also getting plotted out. Now it creates that code map, and it also tells you, okay, this is, okay, the reason you do that is, okay, let's say you've run this IntelliTrace utility, and you saw in the previous snapshot, there were 3 exceptions that it captured. Now you want to trace back the exception to the code which is causing the exception. So what the tool does is, from the exception, it creates the code map. It tells you where the exception took place, and from there you can then go to the code where which is responsible, and then you can you'll at least be able to pinpoint where the problem is coming from and then debug it further. Okay, now in this feature which we call IntelliTrace is something that can be used while you're doing the development, while you're running the application, while you're running the debugger. You can also use it in a sort of post-mortem mode, that is after you go into production and you have your app running in a production environment and you want to monitor what is happening there. Maybe people are complaining that some feature is not working, they are not able to access some web pages. Some people are not able to access the website at all, they're not able to log in. So any such issues can be monitored using this feature in the production environment also. So I will not go into more details because I'm running out of time. Yeah, so we call it IntelliTrace. So, okay, this is the last thing I'll talk about before I stop. I've already run out of time. This is called Application Insights, where what we do is we monitor the application at the production level. Now you're seeing a screen snapshot from the actual production environment of it could be a website. So the events that are happening, the exceptions that it is capturing, all the you're actually seeing the response time getting plotted out. At the bottom, you're seeing the network, the I/O, and how much traffic is happening, the disk access speed. You're looking at how many instances of the application are getting fired, the CPU utilization, the memory utilization. Now, all this is at the production end. Yeah, these are some more screen snapshots. Also, sometimes people want to even look at whether the website is available at all or not, or if the availability is suddenly dropped or people are not able to access the website, then there has to be an automated email sent to the IT teams. So all those features are also available here. You're continuously seeing the response time getting plotted here. Okay, I guess I'll stop here because I've more or less covered what I wanted to. Do we have time for a few questions?
So it was nice with Mr. Mir from Microsoft who have shared a rich experience over Visual Studio. So can we have a question and answer round quickly?
Sure.
Yeah, so please raise your hand so I'll give.
This is Piyush, and I see a lot of penetration by HP on the test management tool, and also we have different vendors from on the load runner testing. But I haven't seen.
Sorry, your voice is not clear a bit. Could you repeat?
Now you're able to hear? You're able to hear now?
Yeah.
On the test management tool, and also on the load runner side. And
Okay.
also we have different vendor like Neotis or there is another, I can't pronounce the name. But I haven't seen much penetration by Microsoft on this Visual Studio. So where Microsoft is lacking in pushing this tool into the market? Just to know your thoughts.
Okay, if I heard you right, you said there's a lot of, you've seen a lot of penetration from HP, whereas you haven't seen as much from Microsoft in the testing space. Yeah, I'm not surprised at your question also. So, if you see, Visual Studio started as a development tool and is quite popular as a development tool. But as it evolved, we realized that customers are also in parallel doing testing at various stages of the life cycle, and they also need testing capabilities to be a part of Visual Studio, not just pure play development. And based on that, we've been working on adding testing capabilities to Visual Studio since, I think, Visual Studio 2008 almost. So it's been a steady progress. So we've steadily, progressively been adding capabilities one after the other. And yes, it started with the for the Microsoft environment. So if you're doing development in the Microsoft stack in .NET, and you have to then extend that development to the next stage of testing, we started giving capabilities for that. We came up with Microsoft Test Manager, then we came up with the manual testing capabilities, then the coded UI, then the performance and load testing for the .NET development. So we've been steadily doing it since about 2008. So whereas we are not a dedicated testing only capability, and HP has been there for much longer also. So, but we've seen a lot of traction with the Visual Studio development community who have started using a lot of these capabilities. Because in one way, it's a natural extension of their existing projects. You can continue the next phase of testing without moving to a different tool in a different environment, and you can continue in this environment itself. In fact, we've seen a lot of projects where they have migrated the test cases done in HP into this environment and continued work here also. Okay. Yes.
Automated unit test generator that you spoke about.
Yes,
The unit test cases that you spoke about.
Correct.
The automated capability of generating unit test cases. So
Correct.
it gets generated from the code that is written, right? So I'd like to understand the intelligence or the logic behind that, because typically when you generate a script, especially a unit test case from a code which is written by the developer, it should always be in sync, right? So how does the unit test case intelligently decide, okay, whether it's right or wrong? How is the defect detected?
Okay, if I heard you right, you want to know how is the unit test case generated from the code?
No, no. How does the test case generator decide
Huh.
that it is a bug?
Uh,
Because
it's a bug.
because
Huh,
it's in
huh.
sync with the code,
Huh,
right?
huh.
Whatever was generated.
Okay, okay.
What was coded? Yeah.
ठीक है. For some strange reason, I think that mic is distorting audio. It's, or at least I'm not able to hear clearly. Anyway, I got your question. Okay, so it generates the test case with certain boundary conditions. And you can give the input values and expected output values also. And then when you execute the test cases, it checks against the expected answers. So in the slide, I would have, it also shows that. It shows you where you can actually give the expected results also. It's there somewhere here. Or we can show you in a stall outside. So the simple answer is that you can give the expected values also. So it runs the test case against that, and then if you don't get the expected values, then it takes it as a failure. Okay, I think you had a
Hello.
question. Right?
This is Suman from First American India. I'm standing here.
Sorry, where is? Okay, okay.
We can execute test case, right? So can we have versioning in test case?
Yes, you can.
How can? How can we do that?
Okay, what happens is, have you used TFS?
Yes.
Okay, so the test case is also can be a work item in TFS.
Correct.
So that's how we version it.
What my question was, I have executed once and then it failed, and I have to activate it again, and then I am re-executing it to pass. Now, after passing second time, I want to see how many times this test case has been executed. Or
Okay, okay, 1 second, let me show it in the. I don't know if you can see from there, but it shows you the number of runs also. And what it also does is the test results are also captured and saved. And you can then open the test results, and you can, for each run, so it creates a unit test project itself. So you can see it creates the unit test project. So the actual, these are the generated unit tests, and this is the execution window. And it also saves the results of that execution. So let's say you execute it once, then at some point in time, maybe there is a feature request or an enhancement request, and you make a change in the code. Then you generate the unit tests again and execute them again. Then that run also is going to get saved as the next run. So every time you execute it, it saves those results also, and as a part of that particular run in a unit test project itself. And that gets saved and versioned out. I think if you come to a stall, we can show it to you in the tool itself.
thank you.
Last
Hi,
one.
my name is Harsh. My question is there any plan to support mobile load testing in future?
While I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure if we have it on our roadmap. I'm not sure. There was one person who's been trying to ask repeatedly. If you don't mind, can you give it to him? Yeah, you can. This is one of the things that it's supposed to do and which it does. And then you can step through that also. True, it does that. It does that. Thank you.
All right. Wait.
Hello, sir. So mostly like in this demo, we see a development team oriented test framework, right?
This one, yes, yes.
Yeah. How do we like basically tailor it to system test and regression requirements, especially with agile model? How do we like tailor it? Because when I see like most of the unit test cases, I mean, apart from developers, nobody develops unit test cases.
True,
So,
true.
So where are the core functionalities getting addressed here? I don't
True.
see it getting addressed here. So.
True. No, I think during my talk, just when I started, I also clearly said that, you know, this automated generation of unit tests is something more, not strictly speaking in the testing domain. That's something the developer would do, like you're also rightly saying. And this snapshot that you see also is of the traditional Visual Studio IDE itself. So this again is a feature for developers in Visual Studio IDE. So for the testing community, they don't use, or rather, this is not their main IDE. We have the Microsoft Test Manager, so which we will show in the demo later. So that is for the system testing, performance testing, etc. This, yes, is more for the development community, but it's something so powerful and something our users are in love with and using a lot. So, which is why I wanted to stress on this a bit. And I mean, I'd be glad to take more questions and answer, but I guess we've run out of time. But I'll be here in the stall also outside, so please feel free to approach me and ask me any questions you might have.
So
Thank
big
you.
hand, ladies and gentlemen.